tagging. I'm expressing my nonconformist side, making my mark.
I didn't know you had a nonconformist side. But on someone's building? Wait, did they hire you?
Well, not yet, but they'll love it when they see it. I call it the lonely doodle.
I hope they're the doodle kind of people.
They'll love it. It'll be here forever. You should try it too.
This does look like fun. Is this legal?
Oh no,
Isn't this the police station?
I knew it looked familiar. I guess they're not the doodle kind of people.
Oh, hi, welcome to Art Adventures. I'm Adriana and Eftimie.
And I'm Elizabeth Whelan, and today we're talking about art or vandalism.
Elizabeth,
Yes?
where is our art?
This is our logo. I'm just getting into the spirit of today. Do you think I've gone too far?
Well, it's definitely on theme, but can we see some art?
Okay, check out this amazing street art from Budapest. Street art is everywhere, or is it vandalism?
Great question, Elizabeth. In today's episode, we're going to discover if artists who embrace street art, like Elizabeth and I, are vandals or not. Street art and vandalism are two concepts that sometimes mingle and make us wonder about the boundaries of artistic expression. Street art is a popular form of art that's still growing in a very fast manner. We can spot it on walls, streets, trains, public spaces, and sometimes we have entire neighborhoods, like Wynwood in Miami, Florida, where we can find one of the largest open-air street art installations. Street art has a raw authenticity to it, speaks directly to the public, and it's celebrated for its ability to provoke thought and evoke emotion. That's because quite a lot of times it conveys a social or political message. And talking about social comments, here's a unicorn made of waste by Portuguese artist Arthur Bordalo in 2018. Cities like New York, Amsterdam, Berlin, and many others embrace street art as a cultural asset that brings many tourists in. And it should definitely be an asset, because art has the power to transform a place. At least good art. Street art really sounds amazing, doesn't it? The artist puts a lot of time and energy into creating these mesmerizing murals. It brightens up the place and most people enjoy it. So where's the problem then? Well, if the artist paints on someone's building without permission, and what if the artwork is awful? What if it's obscene?
Exactly.
So Elizabeth, where does the line between art and vandalism blur?
Well, I definitely think this is a case where beauty is often in the eye of the beholder. Perception seems to determine into which bucket the artwork falls. Vandalism in general is viewed pretty poorly. It's a gratuitous action, and the use of the word implies ignorance, stupidity, bad taste, destruction. Art, on the other hand, is generally thought of as uplifting. So if I'm the artist, I might think that tagging a building with my beautiful painting skills is uplifting, but the owner of that building might completely disagree and consider me a vandal. The word vandal was associated with general barbarity long before the French Revolution, but it was that uprising that really gave us the idea of vandalism being the destruction of works of art and monuments and buildings, and from there it now implies really any type of destruction that seems meaningless. I guess first we might have to ask, just like you said, did the artist get permission to paint that art wherever it is? Public spaces, private buildings, unless the artist owns that property, getting permission is going to move the work into the art bucket. If a piece of art is displayed in a designated area for public expression, or like those street art districts that you were mentioning, it's more likely to be perceived as art. And the intention plays a significant role as well. If the artist's primary purpose is to convey a message or provoke thought, their work may be viewed as art, even if it involves unauthorized means. However, if the primary motive is purely destructive or disrespectful, it is more likely to be perceived as vandalism. the public's reaction does play a big part. So something like this gorgeous work on a wall that shows a traditional floor decorative design, and here is a popular folk art dance in Odisha, India. These are more likely to be seen as art. This next example near Manchester in England is a little more edgy, but the quality of the work is really good. As you can tell, I love graffiti and street art. And actually towns like this, where this mural is located, have purposefully attracted artists who have painted street art around towns in order to bring attention to their locale. So it's a little bit of tourism and that kind of thing. I think there's been a loosening up of attitudes towards street art and graffiti, but the concept of consent is really key. Few people want their building painted on without giving the idea their blessing. I am amazed, though, at some of the mural art out there. This example in Brussels is really stunning. So we have been talking about the difference between street art and vandalism, but these terms, urban art, street art, graffiti, they're a little confusing as well. Adriana, what's the difference between them?
Urban art is like a big umbrella that shelters street art, graffiti, and other art forms that decorate cities. Street art is usually welcome and encouraged as a way to beautify a neighborhood, while the perception of graffiti is quite the opposite. Graffiti is considered vandalism in most countries because it's done without permission on someone else's property, and it's seen as a challenge to authority and property rights. However, within the graffiti subculture, it is considered a legitimate form of artistic expression and an essential part of urban culture. Graffiti originates from a subculture rooted in personal expression, identity, and territorial marking. It can be seen as a form of self-promotion or an act of rebellion against societal norms. It can be done with individual tags, throw-ups, stencils, stickers, or wild style. For example, tagging is the simplest type of graffiti, consisting of the writer's street name in one color. And a throw-up or a throwy is a little bit more complicated than a tag, usually having 2 or 3 colors, and it looks like this. But it's not as complicated as a wild style. Street art, on the other hand, has gained wider acceptance and recognition as a legitimate form of art, often commissioned, but accepted even when it was created without official permission. It's typically more focused on the content and concept behind the artwork rather than the individual identity. Some cities have designed areas or festivals dedicated to street art. Street artists often create works with the intent to engage the public, convey messages, or initiate social or political discussions. And there's also a big difference in the technique and materials used in graffiti and street art. In the case of graffiti, it involves freehand spray painting techniques, bold lettering, and vibrant colors. The aesthetics of graffiti are often rooted in the art of tagging, where the primary focus is on the artist's distinctive signature. However, they can be very complex with intricate designs and abstract elements. Street art, on the other hand, incorporates many techniques and styles, including stenciling, murals, installations, and mixed media. And it includes a wide range of subject styles, forms, including figurative, abstract, conceptual, and narrative-based artwork. But when and why did street art start?
Street art has a rich and diverse history. Graffiti had its origins in ancient times, with the earliest forms dating back What's going on over there, Adriana? What are you doing?
What? I want to have some fun too.
Okay, all right, let me just continue. So the earliest forms are dating back 30,000 years or more. The first drawings on walls we know have been found in caves, along with petroglyphs carved on rock faces, and the roots of modern graffiti can be traced back to the walls of Greece, Rome, Egypt, Syria, Turkey. You get the idea. The term graffiti is used in art history for works of art produced by scratching a design into the surface. And in fact, this term started being used in the mid-1800s when words and drawings were discovered scratched into the walls in the ruins of Pompeii. So this graffiti from Pompeii shows a couple of gladiators, as does this one. Can you see the guy with his shield? It took me a while to kind of notice it. So obviously, who was winning more gladiatorial fights was really important to these folks. Maybe not what we'd call high art, but it's a real connection to people who lived hundreds of years ago, who in so many ways were just like us. And here's something a little more stylish, some ancient graffiti in the Kom Ombo temple in Egypt. Evidently, archaeologists have also found inscriptions on a few of the blocks of the Great Pyramid at Giza, which some believe were painted and carved by the work gangs. And there are examples of graffiti in the Mayan ruins. There are runes left by the Vikings. It seems humans have always wanted to enjoy writing and drawing wherever they went, whether or not the other humans appreciated their efforts. So the roots of modern street art can be traced back to more contemporary graffiti movement that emerged in the late 1960s in cities like New York and Philadelphia. Graffiti artists, often referred to as taggers, for the reasons Adriana just told us about the different styles, started leaving their marks on urban surfaces, primarily using spray paint. Then in the 70s and 80s, street art began to incorporate kind of political and social commentary. And artists such as Keith Haring and Jean-Michel Basquiat used their work to address social issues, racism, inequality, AIDS crisis. And at the same time, street art and graffiti became closely intertwined with the emerging hip-hop culture. Graffiti writing and street art served as a visual expression of hip-hop's values, their aesthetics, and the rebellious spirit. Now that same ethos can be found worldwide. And here's some art from Münster, Germany. So lastly, the invention of the aerosol spray can, which we've been using to good effect today, was definitely an important event in the history of street art. The first aerosol spray can patent was granted in Oslo in 1927 to a Norwegian chemical engineer. And in 1949, Edward Seymour started putting paint in the spray cans, and things became much more colorful. Paint became portable and faster to apply, which is very useful if you're a graffiti artist. Adriana, did you know you can actually buy spray paint that's made for graffiti artists now? There's an amazing color range.
Oh, awesome. I'm wondering how he got the idea to put the paint into the can.
His wife suggested it to him.
Of course,
I'm serious. Yeah. She told him, you should try this. And look what happened next.
And then he took the credit.
Exactly. So, Adriana, what are some of the positive outcomes of street art, and why does it attract so many people?
Well, some positive outcomes can be adding color and beauty, creating a sense of community, raising a neighborhood reputation, and increasing business revenue. Street art frequently brings together artists by collaborating on large-scale murals or community projects. This creates a sense of community and encourages dialogue among diverse individuals. A very fun thing is when street artists incorporate hidden messages, symbols, or cultural relevances within their artwork. It's very rewarding and engaging for the viewer when such hidden elements are discovered. Or when you walk on a street one day and there's nothing there, but then the next day there's this huge captivating mural that just appeared out of nowhere. Artists may create their artworks overnight or in hidden locations, and what to us may seem very unexpected, for the artist could mean weeks, if not months of planning. This element of surprise adds to the intrigue and excitement surrounding street art. Now, we also have street art festivals who have become popular around the world, attracting renowned artists and creating opportunities for creativity and cultural exchange. Festivals such as Miami Art Basel, Powwow in Hawaii, Upfest, and Mural Festival, all of these bring together artists from various backgrounds to transform the neighborhoods and celebrate street art. Street art also encourages interaction and engagement from the public. Artists may create interactive installations, providing spaces for people to add their own contributions. This aspect blurs the line between artist and audience, fostering a sense of ownership and connection to the art. Street art is just amazing, but it's also temporary, subject to weather, removal, or even being painted over by other artists, with or without consent. So next time you pass a mural painting, make sure you enjoy it, because next time it might not be there.
Yeah, some of those murals are really amazing. I wish they would last a lot longer.
They are, aren't they? Elizabeth?
Yes?
What happened to my name?
It was distracting. I want to show some more art.
Okay, but I want good art.
I want to give a shout out to a particular kind of street artist. And those are the ones that are making those amazing three-dimensional street art, the illusions that really amaze people, like these ones here. I don't quite know how they do it, which is part of the attraction. I look at them and I watch people like walking over the art, but it still gives that illusion of a hole in the ground or a racing river or whatever.
That's pretty scary if you have a...
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden, a hole to nowhere. And here's an artist painting during a street festival in Germany. I love this stuff. It's so intriguing, but it's a little unnerving. Well, Adriana, we've talked about Banksy before. He certainly qualifies as a graffiti or street artist. Who else has achieved this kind of fame with this sort of artistic expression?
Well, I'm going to talk about fame, all right? But it's going to be a different kind of fame.
Oh, dear.
I have a great story for you.
Oh, good.
Have you heard of graffiti grandma?
No.
Well, you will. In Germany, a woman known as graffiti grandma gained much recognition for her unexpected use of graffiti art. Her name is Irmela Mersa Schramm. She's an activist walking the streets of Berlin to remove Nazi images and racist graffiti.
Wow.
Turning swastika into stick figures. And hate messages get covered by her. She has documented her journey, and so far she has scraped off, removed, or sprayed over more than 90,000 stickers and over 10,000 graffiti works.
Wow.
She is a real hero.
Yeah, absolutely.
She deserves to be famous.
Exactly.
But you're also telling me about the favela painting project.
Yeah, that's the transformation of favela Santa Marta in Rio de Janeiro. The favela of Santa Marta in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, underwent a significant transformation through street art. In 2010, a Dutch artist collective called Haas and Haan embarked on a project known as favela painting. They worked with residents to paint colorful and visually striking designs on the facades of buildings in the favela, bringing vibrancy to the community. The project not only beautified the neighborhood, but also created a sense of pride and unity amongst its residents. And it's an interesting approach, and it's been done now in other places, providing an entire neighborhood rather than just a wall with art. And it certainly changes the feel of the place. Does it create social changes? Well, these areas were traditionally more known for drug dealing, but it can't hurt to have this art. I think, though, one comment I wanted to sort of throw in about projects like this, it does create a lot of buzz right up front, but then you need the cities, the towns, and the areas to maintain this change. It's not just a temporary glossing over of a problem. There needs to be a real promotion of social change behind it, in my opinion.
Yes, and regarding the aspect of does it change anything? Does it change at a social level? I think it does, because it really matters what we surround ourselves with.
That's true.
When you look at gray, ugly buildings every day on your way to work, you'll probably not feel very well. But when you see these brighten up spaces, these beautiful images, maybe they have some positive subjects, right? Then maybe you get a smile on your face. Maybe that will change your day. Maybe even if it's just a tiny bit, I think it does matter.
Yeah, I think so too. What I want to see is not letting that work fall into disrepair, because I think then that adds a layer of sort of sadness to see something that was made beautiful for a short period of time and then is allowed to deteriorate. So that's what I think I'm looking for, is that second layer. But it's a great start. It's a fabulous start. There's no doubt it looks much better than concrete.
Varnish all of them.
Right, exactly. And so that same group brought their painting project to Philly. Here you can see some work being done there. This is obviously sanctioned by the towns and the cities, but can you get into trouble if you want to paint a street mural?
You can always get in trouble.
We can get in trouble.
But it depends. Where do you paint it? On what building? Is it yours? If it's not, do you have permission to paint over there? The legality of street art varies depending on the specific location and the circumstances. In many cases, street art created without permission on public or private property is considered illegal. If you want to be on the safer side, then there are certain cities or areas that have designated spaces, such as mural walls or street art districts, where street art is allowed and even encouraged. Some cities have recognized the value of street art and have programs to support and regulate it. However, it's important to distinguish between street art and acts of graffiti and vandalism. But did you know that you can get in trouble in some places just because you have a Sharpie or a permanent marker in your possession in a public area? Yes. Places like New York City, and they don't even sell it to minors. They don't even sell it to kids.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I really do think that paint is so much better.
Elizabeth, I thought you found my graffiti distracting. What is this? What is this about?
Well, I didn't want all this paint to go to waste.
That's fine. Okay, that's enough vandalism, Elizabeth. How about a little logo action? Okay, that's a lot better. Nice work trying to fix the frames, Elizabeth.
We have a lot of cleanup to do before next week.
So we talked about paintings worth millions in museums, at auction houses, and private collections, but street art is right there in the open. Does street art have a high monetary value?
Well, it definitely can have monetary value. Original pieces created by renowned street artists can be worth some bucks. These include large-scale murals and unique installations. The value often increases based on the artist's reputation, of course, just like everything else we've been talking about, and the significance of the artwork. You can see proof of this when you hear of a part of a wall being stolen with the art on it.
Is it Banksy's wall?
Yeah, exactly. I think he just recently had a piece stolen. Somebody went along with a jackhammer and took a piece of concrete. I mean, like, we're not going to notice that.
Maybe someone is stealing our wall.
Yeah, oh yeah, that would be great. So street artists sometimes also release limited edition prints of their artwork, which extends their visual reach and also brings in some income, which I think is pretty cool, because that way people who can't walk by and see it get to sort of share in it. So street art has gained recognition in the art market, and notable auction houses and galleries now feature street art in their sales and exhibitions. Of course, they have a nose for making a buck. High-profile sales of street art have reached significant prices, and street artists may be commissioned to create artwork for public or private spaces. And I've seen some really amazing stuff out there painted like on underpasses or museum exteriors. And of course, street art, like everything else, is subject to the whims of the art market. Graffiti-style art and street art in general have had a really good run for the last 50 years or so, not only appearing in public spaces, but also influencing print and advertising and fashion as well. So I hope we see more of it in the decades to come.
I do hope the same. I hope you had fun today joining us on our art adventure while exploring graffiti and street art.
And if you want to get some more information about street art and graffiti, some links to interesting articles, books, movies, check out our website, artadventures-tv.com.
We have very exciting things there. And join us next week when we're having our last episode of the series, where we'll be talking about obscenity in art. What's obscene? Oh my God!
Do join us. We've got some intriguing stories to share with you.
Can't wait.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Where do we start from?
I don't know. Some of this is like stove stuff.
I need higher legs. This how tall you are?
Yeah, this is how tall I am. Because I'm a little too high for this, aren't I? I'll have to be down like this.
Why is it lonely? Okay, I like it. Take us off. This is sexy.
Baby. Go ahead and do that again.
Just cut the one right, Elizabeth. I cut your line. I was supposed to say I didn't know you have a non-conformist side.
No, and I went ahead by 2 lines.
Elizabeth went to the end. I'm done.
See how that,
Is this legal?
Record. Is this legal? Nothing is legal.